Howdy, Rudy. Let's see what got going on. All right. It is Wednesday night. It seems like it's been a year since I've been gone. Been 2 weeks since I've been on between Thanksgiving and the transformer outside the shop blowing last Wednesday, right? 2 hours before the show. So we had very intermittent power. So I didn't want to take a chance of losing the feed. But anyway, welcome. I am your host, CAV Boss. Here on a Wednesday night, we talk all things CAV, talk about what's happened since the last show. So we got 2 weeks to cover for that. As always, if you have a question or something about CAV or something like that, don't hesitate to type it in there and I will do my best to answer it. So we're going to give everybody a few minutes to kind of show up. Everybody kind of trickles in. So we don't want to do the Zoom thing where we tell everybody if you're listening to this call, you're fired. We wouldn't do that to you. We take everybody a little bit longer tonight to show up since we've been broadcasting. But that's cool. It is what it is. So what are we going to talk about tonight? So we're going to talk about some new products that we've released over the last 2 weeks. We're going to talk kind of about our production schedule going into the new year. And we're going to talk about conventions that we're looking to do. And if we have time, we're going to work on the Rock Force. Last show, we were we're getting ready to set up for a game here at CAV HQ. And so we want to have that ready to go. We picked out the Terran Force. I'm getting the minis together for that. And now I need to get the Rock Force, which will be the OpFor that we'll have. And we're going to set it up on our desert board. So hopefully we'll get going pretty soon. Hi, Tiger Wraith. How are you doing? Welcome to CAV HQ Live. My mic is giving me all kinds of trouble tonight. Look out, everybody. This thing's getting ready to change. I'm not very happy with the way this has been doing. Okay, we'll try that. Better now that I'm home, okay? Am I coming through okay? Clear? Can you hear me? Feeler? Good. I'm redoing everything here. I'm trying to set multiple cameras up for the game board, and I got to get my overhead camera for the work area set back up. And it's never ending. I've been moving stuff around all day, trying to get stuff out for orders. Blah, blah, blah. Same thing, different night. Welcome, Valkyrie KTD, to the stream. Glad to have you. Give Ray a couple more minutes here, and since we've been MIA for 2 weeks. Oh, it's getting cold. I hate the cold. Not a cold person. Not looking forward to that at all. But my lighting's all screwed up. Weird shadows. My birthday's coming up on the 17th, so I'm afraid I'm getting some people are trying to sneak some stuff in on. Not a big birthday guy either. But you know, you can only tell them so much. They'll often do their own little thing. Filters. Acting. Too much. Does it better? Weird things coming in there. Man, you miss 2 weeks and everything goes to hell. All right, so let's get started for tonight with what we've got going on. So let's start with new products that's come out over the last couple of weeks. We've been getting our dual cast stuff out. First, we got the 2 out. We got the crossbow out. We've got a couple more that are being molded right now that we should have probably not this week, but next week. We're waiting on some masters for some of the newer stuff too. We have the master for the large scale Starhawk 7. It's at the being produced right now. I probably will have that next week. We'll take some pictures of it and put it up before we send it on to the casting house, where they will use it to make the molds for resin. And then hopefully too long after that, we'll have it. So I'd say a good chance of having it ready next month. So excited about that. New products. Now, back in March, when we did the virtual CAV convention, one of the perks things we had for the swag bag was some MDF bases that we did, textured bases that we cut for 40 millimeter. And of course, first question is, well, why'd you make them 40 millimeters when your normal bases are 30 millimeters? Well, here's the thinking behind this. Is I know a lot of people don't necessarily use our bases because they say they're too small. But these are really designed, I mean, if you want to use a larger base, please go right ahead and do it. But these were also kind of set up for, little scenes, little dioramas that you might be painting with particular models for a show or just something to keep or whatever. So that's kind of what these were designed for. They're certainly very able to use if you want to do 40 millimeter. We also are having blank 30 millimeter or 40 millimeter hexes. So if you want to do everything with the larger hex, you can. We have those available. We also did 50 millimeter hex bases, which are really more for like the quads, like the Simba, stuff like that. The Haunt, if you want to put one on a base, they'll fit on that bigger base. And those are all, if in the future looking to play tournaments or whatever, those are all tournament-based sizes, so they're good too. Since I don't have my overhead camera, I can't show all these real up close. But this is the miscellaneous, the assorted set of bases that we did. And there's 10 of them. There's a couple of repeats that we used for that we did for CavCon, but we did some updates on some of them too, mainly like the dropship deck and some of the others. We also have it set up so that if you want to use one base, the same base for everything, you can order these by the sheet as well. So you'll get a sheet of these with 10 of the same bases that you can order off the website. But the bases that we've got on here, so we have 3 road ones. There's an intersection road, a straight road, and then a cracked road. There is like, I don't know, I call them mud lilies. But if you've seen the lake bed or a lot of mud when it's drying up, how it starts cracking and getting kind of like lilies like you see on top of a pond, but in mud. That's what these are. You could also use it as a rock, kind of a rock walkway or something too by painting them. There's a cobblestone road, which I thought was a good one to have just because, if you're out on maybe a settler, an outward world or something like that, that they may not be doing asphalt and stuff, but, some kind of a cobblestone. There is the drop ship bay, which this was one we had in the pack, but I've updated this. We've added danger and stuff on the bottom of it. There is large concrete squares and small ones that you can use. There's cracked earth. And then there's also like a grating grate like that. But they're real easy to paint up. Everything is cut in deep, so they're easy to stay within the lines if you want to. On the ones that I did, I primered them all black and then just painted them up from there. I'm going to attempt to try to show as well as I can my painted ones here. You can also see these up on the website at talon.games, and actually see the pictures and stuff like that. So this is the mud flats. This is the one I've kind of got painted up mud lily, thing like that. So was real happy with the way that turned out. This is the cobblestone. And this one I just kind of went in with some different grays and mixed a little gray brown and stuff and painted a different one. See what that looks. This is the broken ground, cracked ground. Again. So it's trying to knock it out. But so I painted it up, kind of a desert kind of look or whatever. But also I added some little bushes and stuff to it. Here is the drop ship floor with the danger and the safety stripe on it there. So we're real happy how that. Then we have the intersection, a little stop and walkway and everything on it. And these are all kind of scaled towards 10 millimeter. They'll work for 6 millimeter. This was the cracked road. It's probably hard to see the cracks, but I put a little rubble, a little rock. Here's the straight road here. And then here's the grading there. And here's the large concrete panels. Here's a small one. Also, I did one up in brown. I mean, you can do different colors if you tile effect or something. So those are those. So those are available. You get 10 of them for $4.99. They come in a sheet. They're easy to pop out, easy to paint up. Like I said, I just primered all mine black and went from there. Another thing that we had in our swag bag back in March were painting handles. And I've had several people ask me an email, hey, how can I get some more of those? Or are you going to do this? So we finally decided, hey, let's put those out there. I use them. They're my choice for painting. So they're kind of designed around the way I like them, and they work really well. There's 2 styles. There's the big grip one where you hold it in your deal. This is really good for airbrushing, especially if you got one you want to hold like that and like that. It comes with some two-sided gel stickies that you put one on top and can put the deal on there. They'll work. You can generally pull one off and put another one on. I mean, a mini off and another one on. I've got 3 or 4 minis out of them before the sticky starts wearing off. But just two-sided tape is all you need. Something to put up on there. The fancier ones have the vices and everything, but I think this one is a $3.99, so it's cool. You can have multiples of them. We had several people, different hand sizes, test them, so they work really good. Got a nice base on the bottom to keep it flat too. But for keeping it steady, and like I said, this is kind of airbrushing and stuff with a little more room. This is like 40 millimeters across, so you have plenty of room for putting figures on. The majority. Now this other one, this is kind of this is the detailed one. This is kind of set up for you to put your fingers on both sides. That way you can twist and turn it and kind of hold it a little steadier and everything like that. Works with the same thing. This actually, there's about 65 millimeters worth of, almost 3 inches worth of space here. I think we put on there 60 millimeters so that you have a little bit of, on the descriptions, but you actually have a little more. And this is a big mini here. This is the Villager, but it shows you how it goes on there. And like I said, it's just got that double sticky on there. It sticks nice and tight. But by holding it this way, you can really get in the detail and stuff there. So those are available, and this one's I think $2.99. It might be $3.99, $2.99, $3. They're on there. And then, like I said, we've got plain bases, 40 millimeters, 50 millimeter bases. Yeah, so that's everything that's new. We'll have some new minis hopefully next week that we're going to put up in there. I guess what's old is new. We're switching here at the beginning. We're trying to switch some of the stuff that we have released, special edition in resin or special edition in metal, getting those switched over to the dual cast so that people that might have missed them, either because of the lower runs or limited runs or the cost or whatever. So that's what we're working on right now. So hang in there. We will start having some new figures, new figures coming out as well. So we were actually talking about that today, finishing getting some masters. All right. Let's talk a little bit about upcoming for the future releases too, because everybody always asks me about the books and where are we? Why haven't you done this? Why isn't this coming yet? And I mean, really, we've talked about with some of the deals, but COVID and everything has really, really screwed up our scheduling and where we plan to be, what we plan to do. And it's not just us. Obviously, it's the whole world has had the same problem. But when you're a small company and a small industry to begin with, it made it 10 times worse. Between just trying to keep up with everything, doing things, keeping people in here to work, the convention schedule. I mean, we haven't had a convention in 2 years. I know that they've snuck some in here over the last couple of months, but really, for us, this late in the year, the convention season's over. Had we not, if we could have been planning back in February, it'd have been different. But, when we're having to plan for shows at this time of the year, and we didn't know what was going to happen, and we've got shows saying, hey, if you pay and we end up canceling the show, we're not refunding your money, and that was like, not get into that. So, and being a smaller game company that we're not as established in the retail market with stores and stuff like that, the conventions are our life and blood. So, if we don't have those conventions to go to, it hurts with our budgeting. And so, but we're starting to plan ahead. We have reserved our spot already for Genghis Khan up in Colorado, right outside of Denver, or Aurora. That's in February. So that'll be the first convention that we'll do for the new year, and for the first time in 2 years. We're planning on, we're going down the list trying to work on the others. We're looking at Adepticon, Little Wars, StoryCon, Cold Wars, NashCon, ReaperCon, CincyCon. Hopefully the shows in Oklahoma, Oklahoma City and Tulsa will go this year or next year, so we want to do those. Millennium Con down in San Antonio. Really like to do that show. We've tried to get into that several times in the past, and it always seems like we waited too long. So that's on the top of my list to really start beating the bush and getting that schedule, because we really, really need those shows going forward. So, and if there's a show that you have in your area that I didn't mention that you'd like us to try to come to, please email me, cavboss@talon-games.com. We generally look for shows with at least a 500 attendance. So that kind of smaller shows and newer shows, that's like their first year, generally we kind of skip, just because we have to have a certain amount of audience there just to make it economically. So as we've talked about the future with book-wise, at this point, we've pretty much sold out of the rules. There's a couple of boxes, I think, still out there, but rule books are about gone. And at some point, we will print an updated edition of the rule book. At some point, hopefully by middle or end of next year. But what the plan is, and we've talked about this before, but I'll go over it again, is right now, and my plan is to have this done by the end of December. I have been beating the bushes to get this done. Is we will have the rules update, which will be a downloadable PDF, which basically takes the basic rules, all the essays and everything, and puts it in one place that we've updated with the errata, some changes that we want to make to the game going forward. And we are going to put that out as a free PDF that you'll be able to download, start switching over and play. If you already bought a book, if you haven't bought a rule book, the book is still good. As far as the majority of the stuff is there, is staying there. Obviously, most of the book is fluff and background information and faction stuff. So that stuff's all the same and goes. So don't fret if you don't. If you've got the book or you're ready to buy the book, we actually have discounted the book. If you buy the book by itself, I believe it's $24.99 to buy the book. Since we've kind of announced that it's kind of going to be outdated to a degree, or you can still pay the $40 and get, at least through us, and get the squad, the free 4 CAVs that come with it. So I guess technically they're not free now, but you get the idea. But that's $40. That gets you the rule book and a squad. And I think we've been putting the card decks in there too. I'll have to check and see, but I think we've been putting card decks in there as well. So that's like I don't know. I think those are $4 or $5 a deck. So we're kind of low on running those out too with the new initiative deck. So once we get that PDF out, we can let everybody start beating it down a little bit and seeing what we skipped or missed or whatever, so that we can get that updated. Then as far as new books, I kind of stomped my foot down with everybody and said, listen, you know, these obviously COVID and everything has played onto that, but you know, we're far enough on these that we need to really wrap this stuff up. So right now the plan is to have, as always, the plan, the first journal of recognition and the campaign book, the rules of engagement, ready to go to the printer in March. So that's why I told everybody, I said that this is what's going to happen. Now, what we've talked about that's going to happen is with the Journal of Recognition, you will get the updated construction system put in that book as well, in the back of that book. So changes that are coming because of the rules update or whatever that we've done with the construction system, you will get the updated construction system in that book. And basically what we're doing is, if you've already bought the rule book or you end up buying the rule book, when this is all said and done, you won't need, your book will still be good for the fluff side of it or whatever, but the JOR will have the construction system in it. Then the rules update will be printed into the rules of engagement book, the campaign book. So you'll get all the updated rules in a printed book as well there. So at the end of this, like I said, if you've already bought a rule book or getting ready to buy a rule book, if you can, with the few that are left, don't worry about your book not being any good, because the sections that are being redone are going to be printed in the next two books, along with everything else that comes with them. So I think that works out good for everybody. Then we will eventually come back and do a second edition of the book, of the actual rule book, just so that we have them back in reprint, but with the updated stuff. So that's where we're at on that. But my goal is by the end of this month is to have the rules update ready to download, and also the new initiative card system. Those are all done. I just need to send them off to the printer. So I'll get that going, and so hang in there. I know it's been a rough 2 years for everybody, for our supporters and everybody that's done everything. We appreciate everybody's support and not showing up with pitchforks and fire to burn us up. We're getting there. Hang in there. 2022 is going to be the year of CAV. Also, what kind of works into this, and we'll be doing some stuff next year as whatever, is 2022 is the 25th anniversary of Talon Games. Talon Games, I established Talon Games in 1997. So I think that's kind of cool. 25 years. We've done some stuff in the past. You know, Talon Games has been kind of was a back burner project for years, back and forth as other things came up and on. And of course, we've been doing this full time now since. Let's see, when did we do the first Kickstarter? 2012, maybe sooner. I don't know. But technically, like I said, our 25th anniversary is next year. So we're going to do some special stuff for that. So hang in there, and we'll have some announcements on that. Once we get the two forces, the Terran and the Rock forces, put together, we'll be streaming from the game table and showing some stuff there, and kind of using the new rules update to show people and how things have been kind of streamlined and made a little easier for people to figure and work. That should work out pretty good. By the time I've got both forces put together and the minis and everything in the table and all the cameras and everything set back up, that'll be towards the end of the month, and we'll have the rules update out, so people will be able to download PDF and follow along with that. I am going to also update the quick start rules with the new stuff. And we'll have new versions of those, A, that you can download, and B, we'll have those to hand out at the shows next year too. So generally, if you come up and ask nice, I give you a set of quick start rules, and you're in a free dictator. So those are special colored ones. There's a green, red, blue, and a purple one, and that's the only way we normally give those out is our quick start rules. So if you never got one of those, that's how you get one of the colored dictators. Hi, Yulmarin. Welcome to the show. Thank you for resubscribing. I know it seems like a century since we've all been around one another. All right, so there's a lot of stuff that I covered. If you're just now coming into the feed, we'll get this loaded up in a day or two on YouTube. You can watch it on here too, but we'll get it up on YouTube for everybody to. Now, this is a talking about future projects and stuff going on. This is a kind of a Christmas wish kind of one. So this is not a 100%, this is going to happen no matter what for sure, da-da-da-da. But the people that we've been talking to about producing, that's going to be producing the Starhawk 7 for the resin Starhawk 7. We got to talking, and they had ordered a badge of drop shipping. And it was really cool. Thought how neat that was and everything. And as they were looking around and looking at some past stuff or whatever, they found the picture of the Broadsword. Now, we originally were going to do a Kickstarter with that. The plan was to send that over to China and have it done up as a plastic model kit. But in order to make it feasible, we were going to have at least 500 or so of them ordered. I think we were looking at doing them at $75 a piece. So we needed to have like 500 of them. Very possible. I mean, Kickstarter could very well happen with those. There was a lot of crossover with other mech games, guys that just like Starship. I mean, it's a really cool model. So yeah, we might or might not have done it, but then on top of that, then COVID hit, Chinese tariffs hit, the shipping hit. It's just not going to happen. There's just no way at our size and our deal that we're going to have any way, shape, or form to be able to do a plastic broadsword in the numbers that we need to make it feasible. So it kind of fell to the back burner, and it was something I was going to look around and see how we could figure it out. Maybe just end up putting it out as a downloadable 3D file or something like that. But we just really haven't gone any further with that. So anyway, so they started talking to me about, hey, when are you going to do that broadsword? And I said, well, I went over the whole list of problems that we had. And they're like, well, we think we can cast that in resin and make it reasonably cost effective. And I said, well, I said, I've talked to a couple of resin guys, and, they're telling me, $300, $500, is what we're looking at retail on these. And I'm like, no, we can't do one, not at that kind of cost. And if it's so anyways, we talked about it. We think cost wise we can make it effective. I'm not going to throw any numbers out there yet on prices. But I was talking to somebody else about it today while they were in the shop. And so we kind of looked around and looked at some of the drop ships that some other people have done out there. There's a couple of 3D printed ones that you can buy, and they want like $100, $125 for it. And it's not nearly as big. I think the biggest 3D printed one we found was like 10 inches, and the broadsword's like 18 inches long. So then we went and looked at the one that Forge World did, the Manta, the great big one, or like whatever like that. They want like $1,700 for it. And I'm like, wow. But the cool thing about it is you can look at theirs, and they did it in resin. I mean, it's a resin deal. So, and it looks pretty good. So, and it's bigger than the broadsword. So obviously, that part of it should work. So right now we're just kind of talking, we're just kind of kicking ideas back and forth, but I'm hoping that maybe in the next 2 or 3 months that, the Tau, the Manta or whatever like that. I actually watched Squidmar got one in and was putting it together. And I was really interested in watching him work on it and the problems that he had with it. I don't know, it's quality control or just bad planning or whatever. But had a lot of problems with things not lining up and having to go in and cut things down and sand things. I thought that was kind of crazy for a $1,700 model. I would have thought that you could have got a little better product for that. So that's my Christmas wish, is for everything to work out so that we can finally do the broadsword. So let's hope that we can make it work. Right now, I'm waiting back from them. I gave them copies of the plans with the ship. Obviously, with it being resin, they're going to have to cut it up a little different for doing resin than we would have done in plastic. We are going back and forth and talking about maybe going ahead and being able to do where the doors open up and have a bay insert. So they didn't even spend 5 days, Tiger. I think they worked on it for weeks and still had to, they had to heat stuff up. They had to cut stuff. They had to grind stuff. They got it together and then had to go in and putty it and sand it. Yeah, now part of it is they're building it into a diorama and stuff like that, but that was crazy. Crazy. Well, I ain't never paying $1,700 for a model. So years ago when I was doing regular modeling, the Holy Grail was Tamaya did the New Jersey. And it's like a 3-foot battleship. It's this huge model kit. And this would have been early 90s, I think. And I wanted it so bad. It was just like, that's the Holy Grail. So, but it was like a $300 kit at the time. So, I mean, that's pretty high dollar for 30 years ago for a model kit. But I had gone to work while I was going to school at a hobby store. And luckily, they had an account with one of the companies that you could get models from. So they ended up getting it in for me, and I got it for half price. So I still paid $150 for it. But that was about my level of, and I don't know that I could do it these days. I was single bachelor with no kids going to school. So my priorities were, I just won't drink beer for 2 or 3 weeks and be able to get this kit. So, and here's the sad thing about it is I still have the kit. I've never put it together. It's always on my, hey, I'm going to do it. But yeah, still have the kit and haven't put it. Yeah. I've got, of course, working at that hobby store and being able to buy models that are half price, I loaded up on models. So I've got Tamiya's, their big 1/32 scale F14. I've got 8 or 9 of the bigger, nicer kits that were done back then, and didn't put any of them together. I even have a stack of Revel did some diorama model kits. They did for Hoth. There was the outside battlefield with the AT-ATs, and then there's like an inside, another model kit that's an inside of the ice space with ships all being in the hangar and everything like that. And I've got 2 of each of those with the intention of I was going to put it. That was back when I was playing BattleTech, and they were close enough in scale to BattleTech that I was going to put it all together for a scenario that I was working on. Again, I never did it. 2 kits of those. I think they're worth quite a bit of money anymore, those particular kits. Started trade up chain. Yeah, no, I'm too much of a hoarder. I can't do it. I can't get rid of them. It's one of those things like when I say they're worth money, they're probably $100 or $150 kits, and they were probably $10 back in the day. That's not enough money for me to say, oh my gosh, I need to go sell this kit and get some money out of it or whatever. Now, if I found out they were 10 grand a piece or something like that, then it'd be a little different story. I'd be having to try to catch my wife as she was running to the mailbox. Yeah. So, who knows? Maybe someday I'll actually get it all put. That was always my plan, was that's the reason I held on to them, as I got older and started slowing down and everything, I was going to be a modeler, get back to doing model kits. So that's still my plan. Maybe it'll happen. All right. So we've gone over all that. Any questions? Anything you would like me to go back and go over that we might have missed? Bueller? Check on. We've got everything all screwed up with changes that they've made. Because I need to set her up for Discord and everything too. Basically, we talked about some of the new products that are in the store with the new bases, with the paint stands. That we've got, probably will have a couple of new minis to release next week. Plan on having the rules update, first version, done by the end of the month, along with the initiative cards, and that we're planning on having the JOR and the Rules of Engagement book ready to go to the printers by March. Conventions, Genghis Khan out in Colorado is going to be our first one. Went over kind of a list of ones that we're looking at. If there's a show in your area, it's an established show, at least 500 people or whatever, and you want to let me know, please email me, cavboss@talon-games.com. Starhawk 7, we are waiting back from the master model for that. And then that will go on to the resin caster guys. So that probably will be available at some time next month, provided they don't have any problems with it getting the resin. So that was kind of the gist of things. Kind of where we are, where we're going. I said, between not having conventions for 2 years and COVID and everything like that, it's going to, we're playing catch up. But 2022 is definitely going to be the year of CAV. And it's Talon Games 25th anniversary, so we're going to have some specials for that. The next dual cast release is going to be the two metal vehicles. What is that? The Horus and the Amit, I think, that we've done. I said, right now, my plan is we're trying, because we've got masters, they're ready to go. All the stuff that we have done in special editions, metal or whatever, get those switched over to dual cast, because those are the quickest ones that we can do and get out there. That way people that might have missed them or didn't want to pay the premium price for them, those will be available for people to get. And then all the aircraft, we still got 3 more of the aircraft to do. I know that I think the Vindicator, we are kind of retooling for it, because the design of that model was built for a squish mold for resin. And so, you pull it apart and there's the mini, like a little flower sitting there. So the design of it worked okay for that, but it's not going to work in a dual cast mold without a lot of work. So it's actually easier for us to just redo a master for it. And so there's that. Now, one of the things that we are talking about is putting together some mod kits where it'll kind of have a dual purpose. Is it will have, a sprue or whatever with some extra weapon types. Yeah, there's a scimitar. There's going to be an updated scimitar. I just want that more detailed and stuff like that. And it's also, there's going to be, and we're going to do 2 variants of it. So be able to get the scimitar and do the regular scimitar, and then there'll also be the Saracen and the Saladin versions. So I think one's an attack, one's a fire support, and then the other one, recon version, I think. So indies, well, an independent force is listed by the faction that it's made up of. So in this case, the Fire Drake, the Dart, the Anhur, and all those are for, sorry, I can't remember the name of the planet off the top of my head. But it's kind of an Egyptian themed force with the background and stuff that's going to be part of the Flashpoint. Speaking of that, that's another one that we are going to have finished up here. So that one, since it's going to be a PDF, it needs to be done no later than March 2, and it'll be ready to release. It's so close to being done. It just really needs to be edited and organized. But anyway, they are Terrans by birth or descendant or whatever like that. So if you have an independent force that is Terran, you can, and of course, because mercs or anything, you can be mercs with with whatever you want to use. But as far as if you're trying to stay within faction rules, you can either play as the Terrans can use those models and be legal for their faction force, or you will be able to do a sub-faction force made up from these models with their own little perks, which will be part of the Flashpoint. So that's how that works. So you're either true Terran United Federation, or you are Terran Independent and being from whatever those guys are. or mercs. So you have really 3 choices. Or if you just want to make it a total free for all, anybody can use whatever they want. That's always, I've had that conversation before about I'll never do another alien game with aliens, not like that CAV has like that, because without having it set up where I think CAV, obviously I had to kind of work with what we did with the original CAV version and everything like that. But if I had my druthers, and who's to say that we might not do this in a couple of years? Just do the BattleTech thing and jump forward 1,000 years or something. But what I would like to have happened is that all the alien races have been conquered by somebody, whether the Adenese, the Terra humans, whatever, and it was all one big empire with everybody that controlled it and everything like that. And then revolution, galactic, black hole, nova, whatever, threw everything into cattywampus, and now all that stuff is available, so anybody is using anything. So you would have, planets mixed up with different races and different people and things like that. And I think that obviously that is somewhat BattleTechy with the way that they did it. But the reason they did it, there's a lot of things, and I've always said, I've talked about my design process about not reinventing the wheel. There's just some things that are just really, really perfect for things, and there's no reason to screw it up. And I know that it can be a little repeating and everything, but that's why that kind of thing works from a story point of it. Now, CAV works the same way by breaking everybody up into their individual factions, and these guys, just like Russians use T-80s and we use M1s and whatnot, and it still works on there. But obviously, because we do play towards a lot of BattleTech crowd and everything like that, they have in their head that they want that more of that mixed up force. So that would be kind of cool. Maybe we'll do an alternate or something like that. I still want to go in and do a Stargrave thing, a little deal where you can take the Stargrave rules and play with it within the CAV universe. So as we get closer to doing our 28 millimeter guys, 32 millimeter, that would be cool. So technically, they're 28 millimeter heroic scale. But they're 32. And it may be that to get that bug out of my system, I've always wanted to do an all tank game, a futuristic tank game, that in 15 millimeter. So that might be something that we may play around with a little bit more down in the future. Right now, I don't want 2 or 3 games to be splitting up my world. I'm having a hard enough time getting CAV stuff out the door. So, but as we get some of the CAV stuff out of the door and get kind of caught up a little bit and kind of get some more people into the system, helping out as everybody kind of digs out from the rock, it would be nice to look at something like that. So. All right. Well, we've got 5 minutes left, so we're probably not going to get to the rock. I may go ahead and design the rock here over the next day or two and put that up on the. And I was talking to a couple of people the other night. everything kind of been slowed down and everything like that, and people not getting out to the stores and things like that, it really affects the small publishers. It's funny. I think it was maybe on Tabletop, which used to be what, Beasts of War or whatever. But they put up, I don't know if it was on Facebook. I think it was on Facebook that they told everybody, what is a game that you bought or you played that you really, really, really liked and but just never seemed to take off. And and I think the last time I looked, there was like 100 and some replies or something on it. But I was amazed at the listing of games that I would have considered mainstream games, at least for a while, that people were talking about that never took off. I mean, there was some people that were talking about War Machine. But how the hell did you say War Machine never took off? But it just goes to show you how regional these games can be. That you get a group or a set of players in an area that are running games and doing things that build up a strong group in that area. And then, 2 states away, it's all crickets. And that's one of the things that we beat our head against is in this day and time, even, with Facebook and everything like that, Twitch and YouTube, it's really hard for the game community to get that information out there. There's a few influencers that have, shows and channels that you go and can get on and do things. But I've talked to a couple of small ones, and the kind of money they're asking for that kind of stuff, I'm like, wait a minute, you guys, what do you think? All of us are WotC, or Hasbro or whatever. But we don't have any gaming magazines. The stores are really top 5 orientated anymore with the way that they do things. So it's really hard for us to get our word out there. And even, like I said, with YouTube and Twitch and everything like that, everybody, oh, well, you can reach a bigger crowd. Well, you can, but you run into the same point of trying to get them to come and play your game is you got to get them to come to the channel. And it's just nuts, but hopefully we'll be able to improve our production things. I think with playing with the game, playing the game on and stuff like that. They're just things that we can do. And always, any ideas that you have, if there's something you want to do or your deal. What's crazy is over the last 6 months, I've probably been approached by 10 or 12 people, groups or whatever that, hey, we're going to do a YouTube channel with CAV and Twitch with CAV, and we're going to do this deal like that. And I'm like, just let me know what we can do to support you. We'd be glad to sponsor it, whatever like that. And to this time, none of them have showed up. I haven't seen any of them show up anywhere. So I don't know. It's just weird trying to deal with. So, but like I said, next year is going to be our year for sure. Coming out of the last 2 years of the CF that it's been. So I'm looking forward to getting back out to conventions, meeting a lot of you guys as I travel across the country. So anyway, don't forget the textured bases are up. We have the painting handles available if you want some extra. They're what I use. Those are all up on the store. And like I said, we should have a couple of new of the vehicles up next week. Finishing up the mold right now. What else? We've made it to the 9 o'clock witching hour. So is there anything else you want me to cover, talk about right quick before we call it a night? I apologize for missing last week. Literally like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever. Transformer at the apartment complex across the street blew, and sounded like a bomb going off, and our power was just on and off. Every time I turned around, it seemed like it was flickering and stuff. So, and I knew we'd missed the show the week before because of the holidays. So, yeah. Well, it's going to be those two. I think it's the Amit and the Horus. I think in the Horus, the Grav tank. It's whatever. It's the Grav tank and the hovercraft. Well, this is the time of year we're trying to get our schedule and get back on it. Just be able to stick with it. So there's that part of it. Yeah, the Amit and the Horus are the vehicle. Yeah, because we may have to make a couple of changes to a couple of the CAVs. Got to go back and look at the masters. But I'll check them out because there's little differences with dual cast that we want to make sure that they cast better. We don't want even though, I mean, they're super, they do a really good job of keeping detail, but metal you can get a lot thinner than you can with dual cast and get away with it. And you can do thin dual cast, but it's not consistent with casting. You have to really pay attention to when you're casting and everything like that. And I want to get everything where it's more bulletproof so that we're not spending a lot of time quality checking stuff. So there might be a couple that we need to thicken up in a couple places. But the Amit and Horus are good to go. So, and then we should have, I believe that the Gast and the longbow are pretty close to being ready. Said the Vindicators, we're going to have to redo the master for it. Cool. Okay. Well, hopefully we'll start getting variants out and stuff too. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for being here tonight. I appreciate it. I think it was a pretty good show. We'll get it up on YouTube in a day or two if you want to watch it on there. Other than that, take care, and I will see you guys next Wednesday night. Stay safe. Peace.